What is Immaculate Constellation? That's what you're going to hear about in Jeremy Corbell's Weaponized episode. It just aired today. They have a new whistleblower that just came forward, and he was privy to some, well, not privy, he accidentally came across some very, very confidential information, and you're going to hear about that today. You guys are in for a treat today. You guys, this is a snippet. Go check the full video out at Weaponize. I will have everything linked down below. Anyways, you guys, like, subscribe, share with your friends.
So the next slide, though, is where it gets interesting, because the face of Lou Elizondo is on that next slide, and I was not who I was expecting to see, and it was accompanied by text. To summarize, and please have some grace with me. It's been 7 years, but it was saying that Immaculate Constellation is an unacknowledged special access program established after the exposure of ATIP in 2017 by former USDI officer Lou Elizondo. And, you know, that's the gist of that first slide. And so I'm looking at that and, you know, nothing particularly convincing that that's alien related or what the SAP is or what it's doing. So I don't know what to make of this. So I read the whole thing, and it got very interesting very quick.
So it's designated a SAP. You know this is a SAP. It's sitting on a server maybe it shouldn't be on.
Correct.
Right. So I think that's important. And also it seems like it's just a response to the public spillage or exposure that we saw come forward with people like, and specifically Lou Elizondo. This was like an internal classified response to the fact, oh shit, some of this is out now. Yeah,
that's exactly the tone of those words, of that slide. Mm-hmm. That's the implied order of events that led to being established.
So it was like 2018, maybe.
Yeah, the file was at least last accessed in 2018. I can't remember if it did say, you know, the file creation date or if I looked it up, but I know it was last accessed.
And you see who's accessed it prior to you?
I can.
And what did you see?
So everyone says that I'm wrong and it's impossible, but the name I recalled at the time thinking, oh, that's odd, was
name redacted.
And did you know who that was?
Vaguely. At that time, people are considered superstars in leadership circles, so you just hear names like that, and that's what her name was.
Why would that be impossible? Why are people now in retrospect, why are people telling you that would be impossible?
Oh, she wasn't at the Pentagon then.
Mm-hmm.
Where was she? She was at the Pentagon, to my knowledge, but they're saying she wasn't there.
Right.
Interesting. And
all right. So Shriver War Games, you keep reading. There's a big slide with Lou Elizondo's face on it. What comes next? I mean, you get a sense that I shouldn't be able to read this here.
No, not yet, actually. No. To be clear, at that point in time, I had no formal training in what SAPs were. There was no SAP marking on this, just a name, Immaculate Constellation. The opening slide, we would call it improperly labeled, improperly classified.
What was it? What did it show?
So the next slide, the third slide about, just jumps straight into the mission of the SAP and showing what apparently the results of that mission are. And it's a collection incident in the Pacific Ocean. The subject of collection is several Russian naval intelligence vessels in the middle of the ocean at night. And above those vessels is a large black triangle floating in the air. This is a still image, but it is color.
Okay, so that's the first kind of event, but what was the mission? What was the mission? That's what people want to know, is what was the mission of Immaculate Constellation as described in the product?
So in the product itself, you had to piece together the mission by reading the whole thing and kind of putting together the parts. It never spelled out fully, like as it should, the mission of the SAP. And I assume that's because this is a type of brief where there will be inserts to the deck, which would be inserted by the SAP control officer during the briefing that would provide another level of detail. But based on the information included in there and its description, the mission becomes apparent. And that is a bare minimum. It's the intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance mission of a global nature for UAPs and RVs, ARVs. The hesitation there is some time has passed. One of those acronyms is in there, either RV or ARV, and that is how the triangle, in this case, was labeled.
It's been 7 years. So as you're reading through this and that you're remembering RV or ARV just for our audience. So RV is, reverse
Reproduction
vehicle.
Yeah.
And the ARV would mean alien, anomalous reproduction.
We see, people in the literature say alien reproduction vehicle. It could just be anomalous
Advanced.
vehicle or advanced. It could be anything that can go after A.
So you don't know what that is. But
I don't.
This is a pretty interesting image here.
It is. And then the text that accompanies it describes the incident.
And what can you tell us?
Yeah, the summary of that is just how it unfolded. I should actually back up and say the image itself was unique. This isn't by a plane or a satellite. It looks to be a image pretty close to the waterline. So something that to me read is we have a clandestine submersible asset close by this fleet, and it's taking pictures, trying to stay unnoticed. And so, yes, in the description, it basically lays out what occurred that night, which was that our collection assets were there in area monitoring Russian naval vessels. Not sure what they're doing there, but they've been hanging out in the middle of the ocean in this place, apparently for a few days. Keep an eye on them. And this night, while they are observing the Russian vessels, a large black triangle materializes or decloaks or something. The point is it did not move. It appeared directly above these ships, probably no more than 200 meters, pretty close. And interestingly, as noted in the report itself, there was no visible reaction from these vessels from what would almost certainly be considered a hostile approach.
What do you take away from that? They didn't notice it, or they're not upset about it, or they don't know what to do with it, or what?
So the implication also in the text describing it was, the analysis in the text was that the Russian Navy had foreknowledge that this vehicle would appear in that area of the ocean, and they were there specifically to either collect on it themselves or to interact with it in some way.
Any indication that it might be theirs, that they knew it's going to be there because they control it?
Not in that document, and I haven't seen anything to make me think that they controlled that particular craft, but didn't see anything to the contrary either.
I guess it could be that they've seen it before, that there's nothing they can do about it, so don't get excited about it.
Might be, although it is interesting, if it's something that's part of their environment, as it were, why are they making an effort to be in this space at this time to collect on something they already know about?
Is it like in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, it's off the coast of Kamchatka, as I recall, in the Pacific Ocean.
That's what struck me. I mean, my mind goes to the idea that they were kind of camped out, deep kind of ocean in this one specific area durationally. It kind of implies to me, if I'm thinking outside the box here, there's some form of comms or communication with whoever the operators are of this craft. Am I going too far with that idea? Or?
I think it's a reasonable one to have, but it's not one that I can validate.
Yeah, let's be clear. You were exposed to something. We're just touching the basics here. We're theorizing. We're talking about a bunch of stuff we don't know, but the descriptions that you were exposed to kind of give you a little insight that we can at least look at some of those assumptions. Right.
Right. Absolutely. And I'm sure there's a literature out there that can help narrow down.
Mm-hmm. So Immaculate Constellation, you've never heard this term before, and it doesn't give you the full picture there, but what other additional information did it give about what this was and how it operates?
Just describe the events and that analysis of the event of the Russians having foreknowledge to be there, and describing how the event occurred as I just went over.
So this is a page turner. So you're interested.
Yeah, you're curious now.
Absolutely.
What do you do next? What do you
go to the next page? And it was disappointing because we get into a couple slides of orbs, and I had already seen orbs at this point in an official setting.
So the next pages show orbs from different parts of the world. Mm-hmm. It looks like the pattern is that under this Immaculate Constellation, they're gathering UAP images from all over the place.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the core of it, right? Is the idea that we collect data on these UAP, and someone needs to bring them, collate them together to provide intel to who needs it. And we're assuming, or not assuming, it's been pretty laid out. The Immaculate Constellation was a kind of place to bring everything together to provide those briefings to senior leadership. Is that correct?
I don't know about to provide briefings, but definitely to collect data from the military intelligence enterprise specifically, and the sensors associated with that. And yes, to collect that data, centralize it, and have it there for presumably both analysis and, operational needs.
The Shriver War Games document with the images, 12 pages, 15 pages, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I'd say 12 to 15, but probably more like 12.
And is that the only document you ever saw where the term Immaculate Constellation was used?
Until I wrote one, yeah.
We'll get into that. But instead of go through people will be so curious. So what comes on the fourth page? Talk us through the pages. Just go ahead.
All right. Now that you guys are a little bit more familiar with Immaculate Constellation, which apparently was a forbidden word there for a while, what do you guys think? Immaculate Constellation, some stuff that they had going on in that Shriver report was freaking crazy. Lou Elizondo was apparently had something to do with it, and was that a TR-3B that he saw in that report, or was it something else? Once you guys watch this episode, and I do encourage you guys to go watch this episode, watch it from beginning to end, and then when you get to the end, I want you guys to leave a comment down below and tell me what you think is going on. He does make a statement about Marco Rubio at the end, and Kirkpatrick, which he was not no more, but he was running the whole, in my personal opinion, the secrecy of this whole freaking thing and throwing out misinformation to throw everybody off. Come back and let me know what you guys think of what you think is going on and what we're going to hear in the next episode. But I'll tell you what, I'm excited for that next episode because Jeremy Corbell, I don't know if he's editing this stuff, but he does a fantastic job editing this, and he really left this episode on a cliffhanger. And tell you what, I can't wait to see the next episode. So this one was awesome. I really enjoyed this episode. So kudos to GeorgeKnapp and Jeremy Corbell for this incredible video, and props to this whistleblower for having the courage to come forward and speak to us about what he saw. He also wrote a book on Immaculate Constellation, apparently, as well. That might be an interesting read. I might dive into that. Anyways, you guys, like, subscribe, share with your friends, and peace out.